January 25th, 2022. I'm still watching Teleportation Device, and this is the stuff that they pipe in to the morning. Like, what's the most important things that happened in the world yesterday on worldly news so we can better prepare and participate following day. See the little sunlight just outside my window? And this is what they come up with, the humans. Now, it's a sore topic for me. It's travel, because I've been able to travel so rarely, and most of it's been business, small business, nothing big, on the interior. And I think the latest was a 2013 trip. The humans allowed me to go to Canada. Somewhere between a human, alien, and monster conversation. They allowed me to go to Canada for whatever reason. Based on stuff I had going on in New York. And whatever. With wanting Eric from the World Gym, but some reason I've got stuck with whatever. So I'm watching this, and it says, oh, like the gentleman's going to say it. I don't want to misquote him, but it's something around some numeric value in the billions of people are going to travel this season. And the 4 biggest places that they'll travel, they said, is Rome, Paris, and I forget the other 2. They've got up right now Aruba, which I've never been to. But this is what I don't understand. There's no formal employment or fiscal allowance in order to pay for clothing, to pay for food, to pay for a home. And yet and for my generation, there's been no avenue to participate in order to earn. Like, you contribute your time, your knowledge, your hands in some fashion, and then they give you fiscal reward or barter. You barter your time in some format. The humans, for me, the money mechanics, the whatever has been off. But yet there's a level of locals that have been able to obtain stipend, commission, allowance, whatever, where they're actually able to not only save for a they call it a rainy day, and retirement, and they've worked their whole lives. Great. I've been searching my whole life for where I could get to a work that was paying me like you claim you have. And yet they go on these things called vacations. They go to all of these destinations, the resorts, the whatever. They're really enjoying themselves. I see it all the time on Teleportation. That's the story that they're portraying. But yet, for some reason, I've not been able to even be at par with that level of human. Instead, I've been just struggling just to get by in some really dangerous local assault situations that nobody speaks of and never gets resolved, and hasn't compensated me either for. Now, this is what the humans claim that their success they earned.
Beach Boys and planning an epic vacation for 2022. A survey from the travel website Expedia finds that 68% of Americans are planning to go big on their next trip.
68% of Americans are able to participate in this? Or is this just U.S. travelers in general? Now, what 68% of the populace on the planet Earth is allowed to travel? How did they get their stipend? How did they get their traveling papers? How did they get this allowance? Oh, is this part of the e-commerce where they just click a couple of buttons and just take it upon themselves to move around? I mean, this gets really, really confusing based on a collapsing piece of the universe and not being able to find the appropriate people to communicate with.
Well, with many searching for destinations like Rome, Bali, London, and Paris. So how could you plan a big trip amid so much chaos and uncertainty surrounding COVID restrictions, flight cancellations, and more? Our travel guru, Peter Greenberg, is here to break it all down. Peter, is this really a good time to take a major trip?
It actually is. Airfares are at historic lows. They're never going to get any lower than they are now, number one. And all the indicators are that about 3.4 billion people are going to travel this year, more than 1 billion crossing an international border.
3.4 billion and over 1 billion crossing an international border. How? How do they have barter ability to purchase a ticket, to communicate with some purpose in order to be allowed to travel during this time in the collapsing universe?
Border, not at the top of the 2019 levels, but getting pretty close to it.
And you think travel insurance makes sense?
Oh, you have to have it, but here's the problem.
You have to have it?
You have to have it. But here is what kind of...
These are people with money, with doors that have been opened for them, by whom, I don't know. But this is how, what they advertise on the local teleportation device. While I'm sitting in a chair trying to just figure out a way to obtain enough whatever I need in order to care for myself in some level.
Kind of insurance do you get? Because during the pandemic, it was the number 2 largest level of complaints. Because most people watching the show book their trips online. And you can't complete the transaction unless you either opt in or opt out of the insurance. You don't know what you're...
So now, is this part of this new online community? Like, you have to do everything through our online servers, otherwise you're shit out of luck and we're not going to help you and you're dead to us? Because this is what the sunlight looks like. It's really dangerous for a human.
Know what you're covered for, and worse, you don't know what you're not covered for. And so many people discover that on page 95 of that website, which you never got to, there was that clause that said, oh, by the way, we don't cover for pandemic. They essentially bought worthless insurance.
But Peter,
yeah.
Most trips don't get canceled, so why would you recommend that people bet on the bad thing happening?
People themselves cancel the trips because of COVID. Yeah. So if the airline cancels the trip, you're covered by the U.S. Department of Transportation saying you'll get a refund. But if you cancel the trip, you're out of luck.
Yeah, that's I hadn't thought of it that way. What happens if you make the trip, you're out of the country, now you have to test negative to come back in, you test positive and you're out of the country, what do you do?
Well, that's the interesting thing. Now there's some insurance policies that are changing their deal because they had to pivot. The market demanded it.
Now, they took out of the local area, if he's a travel agent, is he a travel agent in this conversation? I don't know. Because in the local area, you used to be able to go, since there's no town hall in this fallout shelter where I am, after the war of, I don't know, World War I and II is what the humans were talking about, that they were over for some reason. So now I'm just curious, is he the travel agent? Because in this area, there was a brick and mortar building that you used to be able to go to, and you used to be able to speak, and they were versed in things of here and there, and how to book a travel, how to book trips, anything that required any form of travel, you could go speak to a person about. And now you have somebody in an industry that has words, a vocabulary, and you can build upon. Well, that person no longer exists in this community in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. They took out the brick and mortar storefront with a person inside. So now we don't even have a local traveling agent or traveler agent in the know to educate us if we have questions. It's like they just keep removing job and industry and leveled regulators that are informed by career and industry. They just keep removing them out of the local area and leaving one with no avenue to discuss, to investigate, to inquire. I don't know so much. I've seen on the doors in the local area, not so much here, but in other towns, where it says no soliciting on the door. No idea what that means. So now, that's one of those frowned upon things, I believe, but I don't know. So now at this level of they've removed regulatory bodies out of the community, how does one learn? Who does one inquire with? How does one build something in order to help themselves, since nobody else is here and taking charge of helping those of us that are not as fortunate as the others that have been able to figure out a route or who had doors open for them or to them. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It is Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies broken. And it is Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.